Hello, hello. My name is Jess, and this is Patient POV. You can find me on Instagram at Jess underscore and underscore Elda, ELDA. Today we are talking to Lexi, and I had a super fun conversation with her because it was a conversation where I kind of understood what she was talking about because I could relate to a lot of those symptoms that she was expressing, and so that was really fun to be able to connect on the personal level of understanding what we're going through. So that was really awesome. So you can give that a listen. A little update on what I've been up to. So last week was technically reading week for us, and because it was Canadian Thanksgiving, and so it was very busy for work. So my schoolwork kind of did not get done. And so this week I had two midterms and three assignments to do. And then I have another midterm coming up shortly. And so it's been a very busy week to try to get back on top of everything. But yeah, it's going well though. And the dogs have healed up now. So that's looking in our back mirror or rear view mirror, whatever the saying is. But yeah, so I just wanted to come on and say I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and thanks so much. Hello, welcome to the
Hi.
podcast. I'm just wondering if you wanted to start by introducing yourself, who you are, and kind of what your health background has been.
Sure. So my name's Lexi. I'm 24. I'm chronically ill. I was diagnosed in 2017 with a rare neuroautoimmune disease called neuromyelitis optica. I was paralyzed waist down. Um, I was really doing really well for 5 years, and then because of the medication I was on for my NMO, my immune system just kind of collapsed. Ended up this past summer with COVID, pneumonia, in the hospital for about a month. I was on a ventilator in the ICU, not super fun stuff. As I like to say, it was not a Barbie girl summer. I'm obsessed with Barbie. And then after I left the hospital, they realized that I have dysautonomia. So we're still trying to figure that out, still learning a little bit about that. And then long COVID. So I'm in a lot of physical therapy for breathing and just trying to get up the stairs without like combination passing out, getting out of breath. So it's a little bit of a crazy journey, but I think a lot of spoonies can uh, trying to resonate with that it's never just a linear thing. You've always got the next thing coming at you.
Yeah, we were just talking about that going up the stairs without passing out or getting out of breath. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
um, so you reminded me actually with the Barbie movie. I'm trying to start most of the podcast with what your favorite TV show or movie or book you're reading right now. What is your favorite?
So I just with all the medical trauma right now, I'm just trying to do a lot of like comedies. Every night I watch Impractical Jokers.
Oh,
I've seen every single episode. I know I could tell who's gonna lose the night based off of like their calf structure. It's really embarrassing how obsessed I am with this show. But I was like so excited to go see the Barbie movie this summer, but I was in the hospital. And now because of my immunocompromised situation, it's really hard for me to go out in public. Just because it's like I'm super high risk for like getting pneumonia again. Don't want that to happen. So Barbie's coming to Prime on Wednesday, and my
cool.
fiance and I are planning a whole Barbie party. Um, so me, Gordon, and my cat will be dressed in hot pink on Wednesday watching Barbie. So very excited for that. Current
Oh my
obsession.
goodness. Yes, so exciting, so exciting. Yeah, awesome. So, Impractical Jokers and Barbie. I love it. So
Yeah,
awesome.
sorry, I'm good. I give really long answers, so cut me
Oh my
off
goodness.
if you
No,
need
no,
to.
no, no, no. You are good. You are good. We are here to chat. That is all good. No, I love it. I was just summarizing for my brain as well.
Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, awesome. So, yeah, so what I wanted to chat about was what are some of your challenges and then leading into some coping strategies that you've used or experienced during your time with all these health struggles?
Having a good support system in place and people that understand. Um, my mom and my fiance have been so incredible. And just like the people I go to when things get tough, they haven't left my side, which is amazing. Um, because it's like hard waking up, especially because I was so good for so long. And then this summer, I just, like I said, like my immune system gave out on me and I can't fight anything now. And I like I can't hang out with friends, like I can't really go out, I can't work. And every day is so variable with how I'm gonna feel. So like yesterday I woke up and I felt really good. So we went to the grocery store. But today I woke up and I was like, it's even exhausting just sitting and processing TV
Mm.
and noise. So I'm just gonna sit here and stare at a wall because like that's all I can physically do right now. Um so having people to support me during those days, and like Gordon encourages me to like build Legos and like just do little things, just baby steps. Um so that's really been like the biggest part, but I know not everyone has like a strong support system, so I would say that like finding people online has been also super helpful. um like being able to go on Instagram and like see people who also understand exactly what I'm going through and like start conversations like we had in like DMs was really great, because it's like, oh my god, like here's another like young person who like can't go out and like is looking for friends online who get it, and like I don't have to explain myself to you guys. So that's been like also super helpful with coping with all of this going on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Or even just that you can talk to somebody who knows exactly what you're saying, who knows what's going on, where it's like, well, this sucks. And it's like, yeah, I actually get that. Yes, it does suck. Something along those
Yeah.
lines. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, also without, like, any of, like, the toxic positivity of, like, "Well, it's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
get better." And it's like, well, like, we don't really know that.
Yeah.
Um, also, it's, like, chronic for a reason. Um, so it's, like,
Yes.
nice to be able to, like, complain, because, like, sometimes I feel like I just have to be so strong and, like, not be, like, this negative Nelly, but I'm like, "Come on, like, let me be angry, like, I almost died, like, I can be pissed about that." Like
100%. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I understand. Yeah. So then we were kind of, you were in your bio of your Instagram, you mentioned medical gaslighting. Personally, I understand as well. But what has your experience with the healthcare system been like?
It's very dichotomous, I would say.
Mhm.
I've had incredible doctors. So like with my neuroautoimmune disease, most people don't get diagnosed with it for like 15 years. And because it's confused with MS,
Mhm.
and the MS medication actually exacerbates it. So a lot of people who aren't diagnosed or treated properly end up becoming like fully blind, fully paralyzed, because doctors didn't believe them. But that wasn't my case. I had an incredible doctor who diagnosed me in a month, which is like unheard of. So I've had these really amazing experiences with doctors, but then I've also had ones where, when I first was experiencing symptoms of NMO, where it was neuropathy in my legs. So I started losing the ability to feel them. They were really tingly. It was very horrible. And I was just told, well, you're just really stressed. It was my freshman year of college, and I went to like the student health center, and they're like, well, do you just miss your parents? Like, do you just miss home? And I'm like, I'm having the time of my life right now. Like, I love college. I'm great. Like, this isn't stress. I'm like doing really well and everything. You know, medical gaslighting is something I think is really important in the disability space, just because I think it's something that everyone experiences to a degree. And especially with these more rare disease or more nuanced diseases, doctors don't want to look for zebras. They hear hoofbeats, they think horses, not zebras.
Yeah.
And that was something that my mom you know, when I was, in the hospital and I was on all these medications, I couldn't make decisions for myself. So my mom and my fiance were the people making those decisions. And my mom kept having to tell the doctors, she is a zebra. She is a zebra. She's not going to react to things the way that you think that she is. Um, and so I guess what my long winded point is, you have to be able to advocate for yourself, which is when you're sick, really hard to do. Or you have to have people that advocate for you because you never know when that doctor might be having a bad day and might not listen to you or take you seriously. And you just always have to be on like super high alert. Which can be really frustrating because it's already exhausting being chronically ill and then having to constantly fight for yourself on top of it is just like, come on, guys. Like, seriously, like I know, and I mean, my whole thing is like look very put together. That's like, and I think that a lot of people don't believe that I'm chronically ill. And I think a lot of spoonies recognize that because, it's this whole thing of like invisible illness. Like, we're really good at faking it until we make it. And and then I think that it's like creates like this like self fulfilling prophecy, like we go to the doctor, we look really good because we care about our appearance like any like human would. And then the doctor's like, well, here's this like beautiful like 24-year-olds, like they're not sick. And then we don't get believed and then we get worse. And then it's like this like cycle and it's just very frustrating.
Yeah,
Very
no,
frustrating.
no, for sure. I understand that for sure. So just for some context, what country are you from?
I'm in the United States.
You're in the United States. So I'm in Canada. So our healthcare systems are quite different. So how has navigating the American healthcare system been for you?
Um, Hard.
Yeah.
I'm really, really fortunate that I have great insurance.
Okay.
Um, and I recognize that that's like a huge privilege in this country to have good insurance. Um, but it's still challenging. Like when I got home from the hospital this time around, like my mom and I are still like on the phone with insurance, like our insurance company trying to figure out like which specialists I can see and like um like if they're within our plan, and it's very confusing and like took like a month for me to finally get my nebulizer because like the company was like, oh well, pneumonia doesn't actually count as something that you would need a nebulizer for. So then my doctor had to put in a different like diagnostic code. It's a whole thing. It's very frustrating, but I have my mom who works for like a health insurance company, so she's like really good at it. So it makes things a lot easier. And I'm grateful that I have the privilege of having really good health insurance and people in my life who understand it. So if I don't understand it, they can at least explain it to me. That's definitely not the norm in this country at all.
Okay.
Definitely not the norm.
And then with the health insurance, you're saying you're first having to pick specific specialists. Is that correct? Based on what your insurance covers?
Yeah, so like I'll have to go to an online portal and see if my doctor is within that plan, but sometimes they don't show up in the plan, so you have to go in to a different portal. It's really complicated.
So would you say that your insurance company kind of dictates how quickly you get care? It's the insurance company that's kind of dictating this, or
I wouldn't say that necessarily, because everything for me, I've been really fortunate, has like worked out where like all of the doctors that I want are within my plan.
okay.
Or and because of how severe my health issue was, we kind of were just like I mean I couldn't breathe, so I was kind of just like get her to any doctor and we're gonna figure it out later. So and again, I know that there's privilege in that as well. But it was just very much like go to whatever specialist you want. We'll figure it out later.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then in terms of if you needed to go see a specialist right now, on average, what would be the wait time to go see that specialist?
Um, Ooh, it depends. Because like the pulmonologist that I go to, because he followed my case in the hospital, I was able to get appointments with him really fast.
Mm.
And then he had other doctors that he recommended that I go to that he was able to like slip me in back door to go see. But then there's like an infectious disease immunologist that I'm like trying to get an appointment with because like their opinion will dictate like whether or not I get on a certain like new drug. And like they're like, yeah, you really need to meet with this guy. Or and I still haven't even heard back from the office.
And how long has
Um,
that been?
it's been like maybe like a week or two. So like that's not that long, but like just to hear if they have appointments, like
Mm,
um and like my neurologist was like, you need to come back in like a month, and then they don't have an appointment available for like 6 months. So
yeah.
it's just a waiting game.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Okay, awesome. Um, I know that I was talking to somebody the other day and they were from the UK, so I was interested in hearing their system compared to the Canada system compared to how the States is. So thank you for sharing that bit.
Yeah, and I also just want to like point out like my experience with the healthcare system is very abnormal because of like how my mom like works for the insurance company. So this is
Mm,
not like standard at all. How
yeah,
lucky I guess.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. It's interesting to hear everybody's perspective is so different in terms of how they have had challenges or successes within the healthcare system. So it's always interesting just to hear everybody's perspective for sure. Yeah. So we kind of talked about your support system. So you kind of mentioned your fiance and your mom. And so is there anything else you wanted to add about how your support system has changed over time or how that has affected you? Um, I know some people had to move back home or they had to like all those different things. Is there anything else you wanted to share there?
Um I'm lucky that I'm still able I live in Baltimore, Maryland.
Mm,
So I'm living with my fiance here, and we have the space where my mom can come, while I'm still recovering. She has the time to take off from work, so she's able to take off from work and spend time with me to take me to doctor's appointments and specialists and just hang out with me because my fiance still has to go to work. Um, so it's changed, I guess, in the sense that like prior to this, I was actually living and working in Boston.
mm,
And the whole plan was that my fiance was going to come and join me in Boston. Um, but that's like 8, 9 hours away from our families. And when I was doing well health wise, that didn't seem like that big of a deal. And now that my health has gotten worse, we've realized it's really important that like we need to be near family.
mm,
Because I was originally hospitalized in Boston, and at the time, like my I didn't want anyone to come visit me because I was like, no, I'm fine. Like they're taking care of me. Like you don't need to come. But they wouldn't really have been able to anyway, um, because it was such a long drive
mm,
and people couldn't take off from work. But now I'm only 2.5 hours away now.
mm.
So like if if it was really necessary, like family and friends could come like just for a day trip. Um, and at 24, it's kind of funny to think like why it's so important to be so close to family for these reasons now. I never thought that I'd be making like big life decisions just based off of like who can come visit me in the hospital, but it's a
Mm.
different mindset now.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Um, and then you're mentioning that your fiance goes to work and so you're home. What does a typical day, if you can kind of think of one, what would a typical day in your life be like?
Yeah, so that's actually something I've been thinking about a lot lately because I'm trying to get a routine down,
Mm,
to give myself something to do. So like I like to wake up, I like to have breakfast and coffee before I take medicine because my medicine sometimes makes me nauseous. So I'm like, I try and have like a really good breakfast, and that brings me so much joy.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and then I watch like a morning talk show, and I've been trying to use this time um, to explore my creativity more, because I've been in academia for far too long. I got my master's degree. I did a lot of research. I worked in research for a while, and I realized that all of like my hobbies, like knitting and drawing, like I just stopped doing. So I'm trying to use this time of healing as a time of like rediscovering my passions, my hobbies, the things that make me happy.
Mm.
Um, which was like a huge wake up call actually when I was in the hospital because all the nurses would just be like, "Well, what hobbies do you have? Like, what are you looking forward to doing when you come out of the hospital?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I have no idea."
Mm.
Very scary realization.
Mm.
Um, so my typical day now is like trying to just explore everything that is of interest to me. So like my entire coffee table is just filled with like crafts right now. It's so bad, but it's so good at the same time. So just like a lot of cooking, crafts, a lot of social media. I'm trying to, have more fun with that.
Mm.
And then at night, obviously, I have to end the night with Impractical Jokers,
Of course.
naturally, as one
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, no, awesome. So you're talking of crafts. What is something what was the last thing you were working on, or what's a project you're working on right now?
Yeah, so I'm learning Procreate, which is super fun.
On the iPad?
Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I just got myself an Apple Pencil and iPad, so I was really excited about that. And I just finished I knit a scarf for my mom.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm really proud of it because it's purple and pink and kind of ombre. And I used some new techniques, and it's like probably the thing that I'm like proudest of most right now.
That's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
awesome. You'll have to send me a picture of it.
Yeah, I'll send it with my mom wearing it. And there's like, right, we have a heat wave on the East Coast right now. It's like 102 degrees out, but I'll send a picture of her in that scarf.
Yes, yes, yes. Preparing for the winter.
Yeah.
Yes, because you guys are on the East Coast. You get some snow there, eh?
A little bit. Being in Baltimore, Maryland, which is like in the South, like we don't really get too much snow here.
Oh, okay. Okay. We're up in, of course, Canada, so we
Yeah,
get a good amount of snow.
that's wonderful. I wish we got snow.
Yes. Sometimes wonderful. Yeah, so we were talking about this whole thing of your life changing quite a bit because of your health. And so how has your chronic health conditions affected your mental health, and kind of what do you do to maintain that well-being?
That's something I'm still trying to figure out.
Mm.
Um, because at this, it's interesting because on one hand, I really want to like talk to someone about it, but
Mm.
on the other hand, I'm like, I need to just sit with this for a minute and process it. Um, So I think like in terms of like going to therapy right now, like that's not something I'm super interested in doing just because I'm like, I feel like explaining this to someone who may or may not get it and then have to like restart the entire process. So I've really been leaning on like my online community. Like social media has really just been so helpful. Um, because people get it and like I don't need to explain my context to them.
Mm.
Um, so that's been hard, but also I feel like really invigorated, if that's that's a really strong word to explain how I'm feeling. But I mean, this past like it's crazy to think like 2 months ago, not even like 6 weeks ago, like they didn't know if I was gonna like live or die.
Mm.
Um and like I remember thinking I was gonna die in the hospital. Like and to be 24 years old and just it was just this very neutral feeling of acceptance that like I'm gonna die. That's it. But I did it. Clearly, I'm here. I'm talking. I'm alive. I'm doing really well. But that's also given me a very different like perspective on life because I just am so grateful for everything. Um, like one of my favorite things is I have a really great view of the skyline in Baltimore,
Oh.
and we get really pretty sunsets over it. And so, or like sunrises too. It's wonderful. And one of my favorite things to do is sit in this like really nice recliner I have and just watch the sky. Um, and that's something actually in the hospital that like I just thought about all the time. I just wanted to be looking at this skyline. So I just try and take going back to your question of mental health, I try and just look at everything for like the beautiful thing that it is.
Mm.
because it's just everything is beautiful. I don't know. That sounds so corny, but
No.
everything just feels really beautiful and like good. And I try and see all the good in the world because there is a lot of good in the world. And if we focus too much on the bad, then like you're not going to be moving forward. So I just try and keep moving forward and trying to find all this beauty because it's really all you can do. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was beautifully said. Thank you for that. Yeah.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, that was really well put together in that you got some new perspective and are looking for the beauty in the world. And I just think that's so beautiful to say the least.
It's
Yeah,
the word
yeah.
of the day.
Yeah, exactly. We'll make it a poster or something. So um what has your journey with social media been like? And why do you want to advocate about disabilities and chronic illnesses?
Yeah. So it kind of got like I started getting more interested in it again this summer. I've been on it since 2017, but like not super consistent. And I've kind of changed like what I've talked about online. But after this hospitalization, I realized that my goal is to just create a community of people that feel like they have someone that understands what they're going through. Um, so that's why I try and be like super vulnerable on like through my videos, like talking about like how angering it can be some days to wake up and feel like crap
Mm,
and have like your mindset be like, I want to go to Home Goods and sniff all the fall candles. But your body is like, no, I need to sit and sleep and just not do anything today. Um, so I try and be super vulnerable because I realize like I can't be the only person that's going through this experience. Um, there's definitely other people that like would resonate with this and need to know that there's someone that gets it because like just keep saying like I'm lucky that I have a support system
mm,
that I can, go in the other room and talk to my mom and complain.
mm,
But I know that there's a lot of people that don't have that.
mm.
So I want to be that person and spread awareness, and especially with COVID still being a thing, but most people not believing that. I also want to talk about that a little bit, but um just trying to spread awareness just so people don't feel alone.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, for sure. And then my last question for you today, is there any resources of any kind that you have been using or have used that you really think have been helpful? Yeah. I can give you
Hmm.
some examples if you need. It's a hard
Yeah.
question for sure. Like, so I've had some people mention who have pots, for example, their salt, their and what brands they use of that. I've had some people mention different podcasts or books or things like that that they've been using or apps they've been using to be able to help their health journey.
Yeah, okay, that's a great question. So like for my um dysautonomia, I start every morning with a giant thing of Pedialyte.
Mm,
um, because it just I notice immediately when I don't like chug it, like I get super dizzy. So I try and start my day super strong with Pedialyte and just like a really well-rounded breakfast that I study nutrition. So I try and have like a super well-rounded breakfast with like a lot of plant-based foods. So that way, like I know that if my medication makes me nauseous the rest of the day, that I had like like a good adequate electrolyte water intake and I had a really balanced meal, at least
mm,
one. So I do that. And I'm trying to think like I don't I don't know. I haven't oh, find something that interests you. I know that's
mm.
super vague,
No, no.
super vague. But like something that like brings me so much comfort at night actually. I've gotten really into reading National Geographic history.
Ooh.
Um Yeah, so, like, find something that, like, feeds your mind and soul that, like, you might have not already explored because it's just I think it can bring you such peace and, like, make you still feel like something I struggle with is, like, feeling, like, useful,
Mm,
um, while I'm, like, not working,
mhm,
um, but, like, productivity is not measured to your worth or, isn't your worth, but I think that that's something that's really helpful is, like, reading, So if you're interested, definitely check out National Geographic History. It's like fun stuff, makes you feel a little smart, but like not super intense. That's been helpful to calm down at night. And melatonin also, best friends. Me and my melatonin.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. And then, as you were saying, things that you enjoy or spark interest in you, and you're doing your crafts and whatnot. And so that's really awesome. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I really do appreciate you coming on to the podcast and taking the time, because I know it does take a lot of energy to do conversations like this where you have to think and respond. And so I really do appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was really great. And I'm excited to hear like all the other people you interviewed too.
Thank you. Yeah.